Ladies and gentlemen, a new version of Minecraft has been released. This is version 1.6 of the Bedrock version of the game, and if you don't know which one that is the version that you can get from the Windows 10 store on mobile devices on Xbox One and on the Nintendo Switch. My name is slicedlime. I'm here to take you on a tour through the changes and news in this version. Note that there are some smaller bug fixes that won't be in this video because that would just simply make it too long. But all of the major changes are here. I've split this video into sections. You can find the timestamps to the various sections down in the video description and in the pinned comment. Let's start with blocks and items. Barrier blocks have been added to the game. You won't find these blocks in survival mode and they don't even show up in the creative inventory. The only way to get them is with a command, /give your nickname and barrier. The purpose of this block is to contain players in custom maps. They are invisible to anybody who is not already holding a barrier block, and they are solid but invisible blocks and cannot be broken in survival or adventure modes. Some fixes and updates to the water blocks. Underwater plants can now be placed in water columns that originate from the top water source blocks. And land plants can no longer be placed underwater at all. Kelp now works like seagrass when it's placed and can be placed on most blocks underwater. And also kelp that is planted by players will now grow over time. Fixed to a redstone block, observers will now detect changes with droppers, dispensers, brewing stands, farmland, saplings, sugarcane, fire and grass blocks. If you try to craft an item with the craftable filter disabled in the recipe book and you only had enough materials to make a single item, then that would fail. That bug is fixed in this version. And buckets will now stack properly when getting ejected from the crafting output. Let's talk about hostile mobs. The last piece of the update Aquatic arrives in this version, albeit in a slightly broken form. Phantom mobs will spawn in the night skies now if a player has not slept in over 3 in-game nights. However, they are bugged so they don't attack much. A fix for this will be coming in a future version. Some fixes for underwater mobs as well. Guardians would spawn even when you had mob spawning switched off. That's fixed in this version. And Guardians would also attack fish mobs. They don't in this version anymore. Elder Guardians have been changed to drop wet sponges when they are killed, not dry ones. And speaking about bosses, there was an issue where the Ender Dragon would just simply disappear or die for no apparent reason. That's fixed in this version. The drowned can now attack players properly that are swimming above them. And strays and skeletons would have trouble leaving the water to attack a player. They can now track you out of the water. Speaking of water, hostile mobs in boats would be able to attack from every single angle. That's fixed in this version. Blazes now attack snow golems, and creepers will no longer remain white or quickly flash when they are killed. Fixes for passive mobs. Dolphins can no longer attack players through solid blocks, and wolves will no longer get stuck attacking skeletons that are underwater. There was a bug where parrots could not only ride a player's shoulder but also a donkey or a mule shoulder. That's fixed in this version. And speaking of donkeys, baby horses, donkeys and mules can no longer be pushed into and through solid blocks. A chest that has been used and picked back up can now be equipped to a mule or llama, and mobs that were following a target will now properly navigate over slabs. Let's talk about gameplay changes. Fireworks rockets will now again give the proper boost when you use them while flying with elytra wings. When crouching on a ladder, that will no longer stop when you open the pause menu or inventory screen. And a bunch of fixes for underwater stuff. The visibility now increases over time when submerged in flowing water, just like in still water, and swimming through certain waterlogged blocks will no longer remove the underwater fog. When you're swimming, you could sometimes clip through blocks and start suffocating. That is fixed in this version. And the speed boost that you get from being next to a dolphin, the dolphin's grace, will now properly stack with the depth strider enchant. The resistance effect will now protect against the wither effect. Activating an end portal will now work even if you'd placed any blocks inside of the portal. Those blocks will now be replaced with portal blocks. And if your end portal is right on top of your spawn point, then you would be unable to return from the end to the overworld. That's fixed in this version. A couple of control issues with mobile devices as well. The touchscreen actions would repeat when you released sometimes, and controls would be unresponsive after resuming the game from standby. That is also fixed. A couple of achievements have been fixed too on the Nintendo Switch specifically. Those are the Ahoy and Atlantis achievements that would not unlock. Let's go through some multiplayer changes. If you create a world with trust player permissions set to operators and then have your friends join that world, then those friends will now be properly given operator permissions. Also, if you join a world with its default game mode option changed, then your personal game mode will now be set to that default game mode. And for realms specifically, they have been changed back so the owner of a realm no longer count towards the player limit. And the error message when attempting to join a realm through an invite link with an outdated version of the game has been improved. Some world fixes. The world generation for abandoned mineshafts would sometimes cause rails to be floating in mid-air. That has been fixed. And a couple of things have been fixed when converting worlds from console edition worlds. Those are monster spawners appearing completely empty and brewing stands losing their fuel amount. A bunch of fixes have been done to the user interface as well. Menu and inventory tabs can now be navigating using the bracket keys, which can be remapped in the settings. That is on keyboard and mouse, of course. The mouse input sensitivity has been adjusted for slower turning at lower values. Pages can now be turned in the book and quill using the controller bumper buttons. And if you switch the FOV can be altered by gameplay option off, then you couldn't change the field of view at all before. That bug has been fixed in this version. The water bottle icon used to be red, filled with some mysterious red liquid on Android devices. A number of exploits have been fixed in this version as well. There was an exploit that allowed you to obtain a water item. That is a piece of water, not a bucket of water. Also, there was an exploit that allowed you to duplicate items using the recipe book, and another duplication issue has been fixed where rails could be duplicated. Now let's talk about commands and map making stuff. A new game rule has been added called Do Insomnia, which toggles phantom spawning on and off. And a number of fixes for commands as well. Using /fill on doors will now fill the chosen area with doors instead of air blocks. And you can now use the /setBlock command on redstone components and have that properly update the power mechanism. And command blocks will now correctly conduct redstone power. You use /clone on a container, that no longer removes their custom name. Finally, if you give someone a slab with a can place on a tag, that can once again be placed by players in adventure mode. Finally, for our add-ons, there are updated templates for Minecraft 1.6 with new assets and behaviors. You can get those from minecraft.net/add-ons. And those are all the changes in this version. To get this version, go to where you normally update apps on your device. You should find this version automatically there, ready to be updated. It might take a while for updates to roll out, but by the time this video is out, this version should be available across all device types. That is all for this time. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please help me out in return and leave a like. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest Minecraft news, then please subscribe to my channel where I do update videos for every single new version and snapshot of Minecraft. My name is slicedlime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.